Yes, this is about the Elden Ring DLC being nominated for Game of the Year at the Game Awards. I can already see dozens of you disliking this video and clicking off already. Maybe a few of you sticking around to leave a comment about how I'm just a Final Fantasy fanboy who's butthurt that Rebirth won't win. Well, now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and actually discuss this, shall we? This year, the people in charge of the Game Awards have modified the rules to allow DLC to be nominated for Game of the Year. Of course, the only DLC worth being nominated for Game of the Year was Elden Ring: Shadow of the Erdtree, and guess what got nominated? Elden Ring, the base game, already won Game of the Year all the way back in 2022. Shadow of the Erdtree requires you to not only already own Elden Ring, but also play a substantial amount of it, from what I've heard somewhere between 20 and 80 hours before you even get access to the DLC. This is not a standalone game. This is not one that you can just pick up and play and put down without owning Elden Ring. You need to own Elden Ring, you need to play it. Yeah, it's DLC. Now, I'm not saying it's bad. I am not saying that Shadow of the Erdtree is bad. I admittedly have not played Elden Ring or Shadow of the Erdtree, but I have plenty of friends who do, and it's really hard to ignore all of the critical acclaim that Shadow of the Erdtree has gotten this year. I'm sure it's a tremendous, experience. I'm sure that it is a great DLC, but it is not a video game. This would be like in 2003, after The Lord of the Rings: Return of the King won the Oscar for Best Picture, if in 2004, The Lord of the Rings: Return of the King Extended Edition won Best Picture all over again. The Extended Edition is not a new movie, it is just an extension of the same movie, and in the same way, Shadow of the Erdtree is not a new game, it is an extension of the Elden Ring game. One would think that Game of the Year should be a game released in the current year. I guess not. Shadow of the Erdtree getting nominated this year for Game of the Year sets a precedent, a very stupid precedent. Let's just say next year when Grand Theft Auto 6 releases, and let's not kid ourselves, it will be Game of the Year 2025. Why are we even bothering to have a Game Awards next year? We know that Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to sweep. Anyway, all that Rockstar would have to do is release a new expansion for Grand Theft Auto 6 in 2026 and instantly get Game of the Year. Do it again in 2027, instantly get Game of the Year. They would just have to do it for the rest of the time, and Grand Theft Auto 6 would be Game of the Year every single year, as long as Rockstar keeps making expansions. That is what this precedent sets. Do any of you want that? I don't. It's blatantly obvious that this bending of the rules is blatant favoritism from the powers that be, and because of that, I refuse to watch the Game Awards this year, and you all should too. We need to send a message that gamers will not tolerate this kind of skewing of the rules. I know most people watch the Game Awards just for the trailers and reveals and all that stuff, instead of the actual awards themselves. Well, let me ask you something. When's the last time that you actually watched the Game Awards and saw a trailer that made you think, oh, that was worth sitting through 3 hours? And no, the Nintendo Switch 2 will not be revealed at the Game Awards this year. The best thing that we as lay people can do is vote. We count for 10% of the vote, and we need to make sure that every single vote matters. My pick for Game of the Year is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but I would happily love to see Balatro or Astrobot or Metaphor. I'd love to see something win, as long as it is, in fact, a video game. DLC are not video games. Unfortunately, the other 90% of the vote rests with game journalists, who we all know don't have a shred of integrity and less than 5 brain cells between their ears. So I have an appeal to all of the game journalists out there. You, who couldn't complete the tutorial of Cuphead. You, who made a PC build video so legendarily bad that it is taught in schools. You, who published an article saying that there was an ableist slur in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and then refused to retract that article even when you were categorically proven wrong. You, who for the last 20 years have given up every iota of decency on a daily basis just so that you could publish rumors as fact on the off chance that you're breaking a story 3 seconds faster than your competitors and generate as many clicks as possible, no matter how many lies you have to get through in order to do so. I appeal to you, if there is an ounce of integrity left in you, don't vote for Shadow of the Erdtree for Game of the Year 2024. I don't care what wins at this point, as long as Shadow of the Erdtree loses. Nothing would make me happier than to see my Blue Sky feed explode with the news that DLC was not worthy of Game of the Year after all. DLC are not video games and shouldn't be nominated for Game of the Year. Thank you and good night. But while I have your attention, I just want to let you know that the most important thing in life is